Okay, everybody. This is the Wednesday late night, or this is the, or it's the early morning, depending on your point of view. Ooh. Oh yes, I have a special guest with me. Yeah. Can you see this little guy? Let me turn the lights up a little bit. Oh, yeah, he's so sleepy. Yeah, this is my new little baby. Her name is Honey. It's a little girl, and she loves to sleep just like this. Yep. And so, oops. I thought you'd like to see. Oops. How come? Yeah. Oh, let's. Oh, uh, let me change over to this way. Swap cameras. Oh yeah. So you can't really see her this way. She's not going to want to stay on here because she wants to stay right in my arm. That's okay. You can stay there. I think I can do this single-handed. Turn the lights back down. So this is our new little addition. We got this. I guess Friday morning. Come to think of it, Friday morning at around 7:30 in the morning. Delivered by a courier service. How about that? From Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah. Got checked out by the Missouri State, whatever. It has, oh yeah, just so you know, it has papers. I have papers. Yep, I got papers. You have to have papers, you know? You have to move around in this world, you got to have papers. Do you have any papers? We have papers. Yeah. Yeah. This is um, a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. The breed? That is the breed. Lives about 15 to 17 years if they're well taken care of. And currently weighs 4 pounds. We'll get to about 16 pounds. It's 1/4 of its adult weight. And we're at 9 weeks and 4 days, but who's counting? Yep. So my little puppy is sleeping, and he likes to sleep right the way, right in my little arm like that. My shoulder, my elbow is right here. Yeah. One arm situation. The other hand is free. Not free, but you know what I mean. Uh-huh. So we're doing all right. Yeah. It's very busy around here. Oh my God, this little beast has added a few chores to my daily routine. Hmm. And it follows me around like a little shadow. Yep. I'm worried about stepping on it. Yeah, it's got these little tiny legs, and it runs between your legs as you're walking. You know, uh, so I tend to want to shuffle my feet because I'm afraid of stepping on them. Yeah, her. Yeah. So I have a little box down there with a towel in it. She likes boxes. And these little guys like to feel something on their, and they're just, it's a little tiny dog. It just left mommy. The state of Missouri won't uh, honor any transfer papers. 1 minute before 8 weeks. You must be with the mummy at least through 8 weeks. That is the Missouri state law, I understand. So, how did, oops, that's Rubio. How did King Charles, here's another one. That's another one. That's not this one. Yeah, oh, I got pictures of this one coming out of the wazoo. Yeah. Let's might as well get a color picture. There you go. If you don't mind, you might squeeze that in. There we go. We want full view from our, yeah. This is our little, we named her Honey. She has a honey looking coat. There you go. She's with a carrot. Of course, that's made out of some kind of like rope. She likes to bite on everything. Yeah. Yeah. So we got a few million pictures. There you go. You can see how quiet she is. A little stuffed animal that she's biting, rather. Oh my God. Oh, look at that. Upside down, right side up. You name it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. That's a little video. Yeah, there she is. Oh yeah, there's our little darling. That's when she takes a nap after she'd be running all over the place. All right, so let's get on to some serious business here. Well, let's see. Here is the story of King Charles. This is King Charles II. Yeah, in England. Can you believe it? In the 1500s, and the history and origin of the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel puppies. And basically in the 16th century, yeah, is when they became a favorite of King Charles I and King Charles II. Yeah. That is a painting that you see there of King Charles the second, yeah, of England in the 1500s. There you go. Which is, these are like, there you go. There's a 4 different colorations. We have the ruby right there. That would be an adult version of the little one that we have. The face looks pretty similar. Yeah. Yep, there you go. $3,300, you can have one of your very own. Actually, it's about 4,000 FOB, free on board. Nothing free, I guarantee it. All right, so here is a startling piece of news. You see that right there, March 10th? The grand prize is $533 million. Someone is the jackpot winner. Or it could be more than one. There's a $290 million to 1 shot that none of us on this broadcast have won. I happen to have my a magic ticket inside here. Uh-huh. Ooh. So I could be the big prize winner. I'm not gonna check right now because it's 1:12 a.m. I have my Diet Coke right here. Excuse me while I wet my whistle. Can you believe it? This puppy dog is still hanging in right here. Yeah. Yes, this puppy dog likes to be right here. Whoops. Who stopped? Well, continue on. So Facebook hung in there for 11 minutes. Now there's a change. I don't get what's going on with Facebook. All right, so you Facebook fans, hopefully you're running over to YouTube because they're always there. Oh yeah, I've had them. I've been talking with them. My all-time longest podcast was 4.5 hours. Yeah, a few days ago actually. It was, um, it was the night. It was Thursday night. Yep. It was Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday. So Thursday night becomes Friday, right? So Friday morning was the delivery estimate for this little prize. And so I talked all night. I figured, what the hell? I'm not going to sleep anyway. I'm all excited about the arrival of my new family member here. It's kind of like giving birth, sort of, without the pain, except the pain in someone's wallet, assuming you have a wallet big enough. Well, fortunately, my daughter got this puppy for me as a birthday present. Yes, this is my birth month. Yeah, my birthday is in March, the first day of spring. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. So I stayed up all night and talked. I talked until until the sun came up. Well, yeah, and then the puppy showed up, and then I had all these. I had all the pre-puppy stuff, because Robin had. We're on the phone talking about my old cats. She said, "Well, surely you're going to have a replacement pet if one of those kicks the bucket." I said, "Well, I'm getting worried about one of the cats." She said, "Oh, let's look around." So she immediately got on the internet, and I got on the internet, and I said, "Robin, I found one." She said, "I had a friend with a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel." I said, "Really? Cavalier? Let me look up Cavalier." So I went to Cavalier, and I found a Cavalier King Charles. I said, "Robin, you're not going to believe this. There's an 8-week-old Cavalier. Actually, it's 3 days short of 8 weeks. So they can't. The birth date is New Year's Day. This dog was meant to be at Cafe A12." She said, "Let me go find out." She said, is this the one you want? We're going to get you something. So is this the one you want? Is this the one you want? I said, yeah. She said, 1, 2, 3. She pushed the button. And that was it. There you go. There's yours truly with my little prize. There she is. Yeah. Yep, that's it. That's a picture with my eyes closed. That's a picture with my eyes open. Uh-huh. And this is Saturday, so this is the next morning. Yeah. Uh-huh. All right. There you go. I look a little intense on that one. So she snapped another one. She says, Daddy, look a little happy, will you? I said, this is happy. I said, she said, oh my God. Yeah, that's why this one has the heart up top. Yeah, we're only supposed to be, uh, how do we do this? Collection. Yeah, we have to look in libraries, collections. Go back. We want favorites. There we go. That way we only get the ones with the eyes open. There we go. Now we come down here and we'll probably see. Yeah, there's another one. You see Marilyn in the background? And what does she have in her hand? Her iPhone, of course. She's texting me, telling me to take the picture.
You'll need to add contact information for this contact before I can do that. Who do you want to call?
Oh my God. Stop.
I will not then.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Oh, there you go. There's my little beast with our cat, Kino. And there you go. The dog is sitting there very sternly looking at the big cat. I mean, in relative terms, that's a 16-pound cat and a 4-pound Cavalier. Yeah, look at the tail. It's getting ready to. So she's getting ready to swap her tail. And the cat is standing there, wiggling the tail in front of her face. I swear, it's unbelievable. These animals. So they're adjusting. I'm really very surprised at how. And then, of course, whoops, they get, that's March 8th, Sunday. There we go. There we go. Cute, huh? We've taken 1,000 pictures. These are just only the good ones. Oops, that's resume. That's my FAU card. I used to teach digital photography over at FAU in 2002. Can you believe it? 24 years ago, when digital photography was pretty unique. And I was the only person around that knew anything about it. So I taught a class. It was very popular. Yeah, whenever the Sun Sentinel put it in the paper, I fill up 2 classes of about 20 to 25 students per class. Yeah. So we've been dealing with Iran and Iraq, right? All that stuff. Well, not Iran. Oh my God. So you got the Red Sea going here between Saudi Arabia and Egypt, and then of course you got Israel. Is this little blue thing, and the blue and brown right there. Yep. With the Gaza right in the middle. That's crazy. And Syria, Jordan, and Egypt, and the Mediterranean Sea. That's what surrounds Israel. And of course, with Lebanon and Iraq and Turkey, and I mean, everybody is trying to shoot shoot to kill at Israel, I'll tell you. They got 6-7 million people in there, and everybody's shooting at them, so to speak. Anyway, so you can see the Red Sea, the Suez Canal. You see that Suez. You see the Gaza Strip. Yeah, this is not a very good map, but it's the best I could do in a pinch. I'm reverse pinching. Now that right there. Remember Iraq, we were dealing with that for 20 years. But now our main squeeze right here is Iran. So Iran is, you know, oh yeah, where were we going? Yeah. So the Persian Gulf, you see that? Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. Yeah. Well, these big tanker ships fill up from Iranian oil, and they fill the tankers up, and then they navigate through the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman and come out, okay, into the Arabian Sea to, basically to service the oil needs of China, would you believe? So between Israel and the USA, we've been, pardon the expression, but we've been bombing the shit out of Iran. They wouldn't stop, with their aggression against Israel. And so, Trump, yeah, he was calling everybody over a period, over a period of a couple of months. And he was talking to Saudi Arabia. He's talking to, everybody, all the neighboring countries, Afghanistan and Turkestan, all the stands up here. See all the stands? Uzbekistan, Turkestan, Kazakhstan. Yeah, those are all the stands. Yeah. It's at least four. You can see Russia. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Russia's very interested in Iranian oil, as is China. China, as they say. So, you see Turkey, that's a border. You see Iran, Persia. You've heard Persia yet. So, there was a day in world history, which, remember now, I am a scientist by training, and I did banking all my life. And back in the day, like 1,000 years ago, Iraq and Iran was Persia. And so, Iraq, all their war stuff, they're trying to get they want everything to become Persia. They want Saudi Arabia, they want Iran back in the fold. This whole thing surrounding the Persian Gulf, because the whole thing was Persia. Yeah, this whole rigmarole here. Kuwait City and all this stuff, this was all Persia. And that got divided up, this conquered that and that conquered this. And, the world history part, I don't know. But you can see the Persian Gulf, all these lands surrounding that big water was Persia, this whole thing. Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, all that was Persia. Then Saudi Arabia split off. Then you had Iraq, and it wasn't an Iraq and an Iran. It was Persia. It was bigger, and they kept on, everybody kept on nibbling at their toes. And Iran has got, that's Iran now. and Saudi Arabia and Iraq and, all that business. Yeah. Qatar. Yeah. Kuwait City. Anyhow, Iran now is, you're going to see this in the news for the next, future. Yep, there's going to be a lot of stuff. They've taken out the Air Force. They've taken out Iran's Navy. And it doesn't have a Navy anymore. Hasn't, I think it's sunk 55 vessels and to the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Yeah, they're in the bottom. Yeah. Oops, my dog is snoring. The booger is, you would call that sound asleep, big time. Yeah. Sooner or later, I'm going to have to put this little booger down because my arm is showing signs of, whoops. I don't know if you can hear that. Epidemic sound is making too much noise. All right. So, all right, just coming across that picture, I wasn't really ready to talk about all that. Just about his puppy dog. We did that. And of course, you got this complete, oh, yeah. You snuggle your nose deep inside that arm, yeah. We got our dog through this agency right here, Pawrade, Pawrade. Here's another one of these rubies available for $32.50. See, Cavalier Puppies for Sale. There's a breeder in West Plains, I guess Missouri. Yeah. That is not this dog. This is a different dog. I was just wondering, late night, early morning, are there any of the ones I'm holding in my arm here? Is there another one like that's for sale right now? $3,300. Door to door, $4,000. There you go. Can have one of your very own. Known by the full ruby color and characteristic little spot of hair right in the middle of their forehead, I guess. There's the 4 different colorations. The black and brown, the ruby and the white, and the brown and the white, and the 100% ruby color. Yeah, similar to what we have. King Charles I, and that's a painting of King Charles II. Yeah. This is a painting. Yeah. They all have these baby faces. Yeah, and they're a little on the short side. 4 foot, 4.5 feet tall. Really. Even like in early days, if you go to University of Virginia, UV, they have dormitories there that were built, back 250, 300 years ago. And you have to duck to get through the hole. At 5 foot, I'm 5'8", and I have to duck down so I don't whack my head going through a dormitory of the old original dormitory of UVA. Yeah. Somebody, Yeah, people like George Washington went to school there, you know. Oh boy. Benjamin Franklin. Anyway, Young, that's over here. This dog has a English heritage. Oh yeah, he's sleeping away. Listen to me talk. This little sucker is trying to talk while I'm talking. But nothing's coming out because it's sleeping. See, the history of the origin of the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. It is actually a toy version. You know, like you got toy poodles and medium poodles and standard poodles. The standard poodle is the big one. And then you got the toy poodles. I grew up originally with a Cocker Spaniel, a full-size Cocker Spaniel, when I was real little, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then the name of the poodle was Topsy. It was black and white. Full-size Cocker Spaniel, would you believe? Now this is called a Spaniel, a King Charles Spaniel, the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. Yeah. And their bred is a small spaniel, a lap. This sucker, they love to, you know, they love to hang around. They like to be in a lap. Oh yeah, and they'll sleep in your lap. They'll whack-a-doodle in your lap. Yeah. And they, whoever they bond with, they're like, yeah, they're in your lap. Yeah. All right, the other news of the evening, other than Jimmy getting one of these little doodads as a birthday present. Thank you, Robin. An everlasting present. That's for sure. See, here's the dog in the box. I mean, cats, dogs, whatever, they love boxes. There's dog in a box. Yeah. So if I'm busy doing something, I have this. There it is. There's dog in a box. One ear hanging outside the box. I think, yeah, it looks like an ear or an elbow. You got her head. Everything's all turned around inside this little tiny box from Amazon. You can see the Amazon tape. And here's this could be one of my cats is taking liberty of checking out this new creature that has entered our very sane environment, and now it has turned into Jungle Gym on the travertine marble floor there. Yep. And there is said cat. See here the whoops. See, the head of my cat is down and the tail is up. And this is the safe zone so that said cat, they have the ability to get up high. So doop, 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 and the cat can get right up on the range there. There's the cat in the box. There's the cat. That's a dog in a box. Cat watching. This is the cat's eye view. Oh yeah, look at this. Oh yeah. Little yawny Donnie, yeah. You hear me talking? Yep, back to sleep. Just stretch that a little bit. I ran around the other side of that wackadoodle. There's a standoff, but it's a tough little dog. For 9 weeks and 4 days. You can do the math. 1/1/26 was the birthday. So it's pretty easy to remember how to figure out. There's a cat sitting up on a bench in the bathroom. Keep an eye on the dog. And, yeah. See, I know when I got my dog, because we can go back. Because you see, when you take these pictures, there you go, sitting up. You lift up on the picture, and what do you get? See, that's Saturday morning, March 7th. Yep. We've had the dog one day. Yeah. That means, yeah, the 7th. So got him on the 6th. Got her on the 6th. They're looking right at you. You would know that thing was 3.5 pounds, wouldn't you? Now look at that. That's a bed. And there is, let's see. There is dog. See me doing a little digital magic there. That's the dog in the bed. If you hold down on an item like this is what I'm doing, it'll separate itself from that. This is almost, it's not a air tube, but it's a fluffy thing that's in a circle, and the dog can curl up right in there. So it's like it's bed. So you can see them. Then you can put it somewhere. Oh, so you can do this, see, and then see where it says copy. So you can copy it. And then if you were doing a text message, like I'm going to pretend, I'll send it to myself. There you go. There's my Jimmy send it to myself thing. And I'm just going to do paste. There you go. I've got my picture of my doggy sleeping in the box. No, this is not a box. This is almost like a tube. But it's not a tube, but it's full of stuff. So when the dog's not there, it's like say wrapped around as if it was a tube wrapped in carpet. But instead of it being a tube, it's, it's a circle of some kind of stuffing. This is my representative, Lois. So she sent me papers. Actually, when they delivered the dog, it had papers. So this is all, yeah, I had to prove my identity because Robin bought the dog and had it shipped. Yeah, here's the picture that the breeder sent me. Yeah, right before. Can I lift up on that and see if we were to save that picture? Oh, it's already been saved. That's the picture that the, oh, I have a cat looking, where's Jimmy and where's the dog? There we go. Yeah, see, March 4th, they're prepping the dog for, yeah, because that's probably when Robin and Jimmy were on the phone, and Robin said, let's get it for your birthday. Don't tell anybody. It'll be your birthday present. I said, oh my God. Marilyn is going to be very surprised. Yeah. So anyway, there's been a lot of doggy conversations in our, yeah, you can see. Interaction with the cats is surprisingly calm. Perfect so far, no hissing. Cats are very interested. Oh, my goodness, a little cough. Yeah, I never heard such a little squeak out of you. The cats know it's a baby. Two's company, three's a crowd. Are we going to end up with no? Actually, the three is working out pretty good. It's going to be three's company. My time is divided. Should be divided. It should be 33% each. No, honey is getting 80% of the time. Instead of 1/3 of the time, it's getting most of the time. So actually, I'm very surprised that the interaction between the cats and this little bundle of joy is really quite calm. Yeah. So, I mean, this is early conversation, right? Because this is Friday. Yeah. See, Friday at 6 a.m. is the delivery. It actually turned out to be 7 o'clock, I think. Something like that. And Brennan wanted to do lunch. I said, I don't know. I gotta hang in here with the new dog. You know, I don't know how I can leave her by herself. She's too young. She'd be yipping her brains out. March 3rd was this big full moon. Look at that. The full warm moon. There it is. Live and in color right outside our balcony. Daniel come across JM Family Secret Sauce for barbecue. I want some of that. I want to buy a bottle of that. Excuse me. Yeah. So that's I'm going to share my text messages. If I go on the even I threw this one out to the whole crowd so everyone could see my birthday present. Our new little bundle of joy. Yep. So Saturday morning we had an appointment with our vet. Yeah. Dr. Phillips has been at the Cole Animal Clinic for 37 years. There was a Dr. Cole, and Dr. Phillips bought the practice from Dr. Cole. And he just kept the name, because everyone knew it as the Cole Animal Clinic. So, and, they knew him there because there was a time where both those doctors were in the same place. And then Dr. Cole and Dr. Phillips came up with an agreement, money. And Dr. Phillips took over the practice 37 years ago. Yeah, a little bundle of joy weighed in at 3.5 pounds on the button. Yeah. So the King Charles Spaniel, if you have that white spot right there, that's like the thumbprint of the king. And that's how you get entry into the palace. Otherwise, that dog ain't getting in here. Yeah, it's hard to imagine what it was like Can you imagine? 600 years ago, this dog has a 600-year history. Unbelievable. That's some as a I'm doing pretty good as a a history student of yeah, well, you got to know a little something about what you're dealing with here. Yeah. Phew. There's Starlink, V2 satellites. Their version 2 satellites are going to deliver the equivalent of 5G um, speed, which is like uh, 300 megabits per second down and, 60 megabits up, that kind of speed, which is not bad for a direct to satellite. I mean, literally, your phone would connect, this is not now, would connect directly to satellites. So you forget cable, forget, cell towers, you go right to the satellite. And who's figured that out? You know it. Yeah. Elon Musk. Another 2 4-letter words. Elon Musk. Yeah. Oh, scientists are analyzing a 41,000-year-old Neanderthal bone. Yeah, it looks like a leg bone or an elbow bone. There you go. Some new gadgets. Here's the Apple's new MacBook Neo with a 12. So that's like an actual MacBook. I don't know how they came up with that name, but they did. This whole system is being run on a MacBook Air. It's a 15-inch screen I have up here, right, from the middle, you see, right there, going this way. Yeah. If I go, let's go full screen. Producers, there you go. You see, this is an iPad that I use. I get photographs. I do print screens. There we go. Yeah. This is actually a photograph. That's not a print screen. Let's get rid of this. Yeah. So here we're going through photographs of our new pet dog. That's 9 weeks old. Going on 10 weeks. It's just a young little baby. He's sleeping in my arms. You can see right there, there's a little face. And there's an ear. Yeah. There's the other ear. Moink. Yep, that's a sweet little booger. So I got pictures of dog. We're going to get into Mega Millions in a minute. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to go there right now because I have incredible news this hour. So we're going to go to the top. So here's the Mega Millions. See that? 533 million. Somebody won tonight. This is early morning. 533 million. Because as of tomorrow, the jackpot is 50 million. So when someone wins, so on the 28th week of the drawing, 28 weeks of drawing, that's like 28 drawings, 2 a week. So that would be, 24 weeks. Yeah, that's a lot of weeks with no winner when they're drawing these numbers, ping pong balls. Well, finally somebody won this whole shooting match. Grand prize of $33 million. See, because the official lottery, let's go to the lottery. There we go. This is their website. You see Friday the 13th, 50 million. It resets to 50 million when there's a winner. So the Tuesday, March 10th, this guy right here, that's a special, we need to put a star in there or something. He goes, that's the big winner. This is their website, so I can't do it on the website. Yeah, the winning numbers. That's a day to remember. March 10th was a big day for somebody. It could be me. It could be right in this envelope. I haven't checked. Believe me, if it's us, I'll let you know. I'll immediately get a suite. Sweet. Yeah, I'll get a nice big suite at the Boca Hotel Resort. Yeah. And we'll stay inside. We'll stay inside there for a while. We'll have to bring our pets over somehow. Yeah, if we won that sucker, we'll have people. And I'll have our people. When you but let me tell you let's get into this. Yeah. All right, here we are. Now we're gonna go full screen on this business. There we go, green. But touch the green. There you go, the green. Okay. Oops. All right, that's full screen. There we go. So here's the last, 14 to 28. That's 14 weeks. That's half of all the drawings. So it went from 50 to 250, and then from 250 up to 530. And you see there's a star there because instead of putting rollover down here, it reset to 50 million. Yeah, I mean, that's not chump change to win 50 million, but it's amazing to win a $500 million. Actually, a little more than a $500 million. So let me tell you, so the estimated jackpot will be about, if you took a lump sum, 241 million is the lump sum calculation. So it's a little 533. Okay. About 46% of that or something. I put a star there for a reason, because someone has won this. So that's what actually would go in your tax return as your earnings for 2026. That would, can you imagine? That's what you'd put on your tax return, because you only get 183 million because Uncle Sam has a withholding. Oh yeah, they take 24% off the top and stuff it in their pockets because they figure most everybody is going to be in the maximum tax bracket of whatever the hell the maximum is. Of course, now it's 37%. So Uncle Sam takes 24%, but so you actually get 100 and, let's go to the next page. You actually get 183 million. You see that right there? That is after the withholding. So that's what they would credit your checking account with. So my suggestion is, so tomorrow morning, or yeah, this is tomorrow. Wednesday, when, at 9 o'clock, when everyone in the lottery shows up for office. What time is it? It's almost 2 a.m. Wow. You guys are still here. So you're either insomniacs and can't sleep, so you listen to Jimmy, or you're not insomniacs, and you just happen to come across your Facebook page, and there he is. He's talking. This was a simulcast between Facebook and YouTube. Facebook bailed out after about 11 minutes. I don't understand what's going on with Facebook. They're supposed to be, I will say the internet signal today, you're not going to be able to see that. Oh, wait a minute, you know what? Get out of that. We can see it here on my iPad. I'll do it here there we go. Touch screen, with iPads. And then you see this is full screen, so you can see what's going on. See that? 200, 300, it's moving up, 300, 400. I'm paying for 2,000. This is 400. This is 20% of the speed I'm paying for. And you see that? 45, 40, 44. There's some jitter in there. There's a lot of jitter. It's 51 megabits per second upload speed. That's what I'm interested in because I'm talking and it's going up into hyperspace. Yeah. I'm paying for 200 megabits per second up and 2,000 megas. Yeah. I'm paying for 2,000 megabits down and I'm paying for 200 megabits per second up. And I have 50. So that's 25% of what I'm paying for. And I'm getting 20% on the download. But it's enough to, I have enough speed, if you will, to do what I'm doing here. But, let's see, an hour ago, it took me a half hour to get up and running here because the speed was so bad I had to reset the modem, which means turn it off, disconnect power, which I did, count to 10. Oop, 2 a.m. Did you hear that? You see 2 a.m. right there on my screen. Anyway, the signal strength at midnight was terrible. All right, let's get rid of that. There we go. We get back to here. There we go. And we're going to add Jimmy back in. So we have so we can see this on one side. I have to, there we go. I need to compress this a little bit on the iPad because I have more pixels here than what oh, my arm is dying. Little doggy, we need to go this way. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's such a sweet little dog. There we go. You see it right there? Yeah, she's sleeping soundly. Snoring occasionally. That's good. Wow. Oh, yeah. The dog is wondering how come. There you go. Let's just wrap around a little bit. There we go. Now you can have your face buried in my shoulder. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I got an idea. You're nice and sleepy. Let's see if you can do your box. There's your box right there. Yeah, get in your box. Yeah, go ahead. Get in your box. There he goes. Yeah, there's a box, a little towel in the box. Thank you very much. Oh, God, this shoulder. I've been holding this dog for an hour in this shoulder, and my muscles are just, oh God, yeah. There you go. Just sleep on. There we go. I have my feet together down on the floor, and the dog, yeah, it's not going to get up here. No, no, the dog, you got to go down. No, sleep. He'll sleep right on my feet. And anyway, so there's all the lottery results. Where was I? There's the star, which means somebody won everything. Yep. It could be more than one. It's a 290 million to 1 chance that you will not win. That's the winning odds. 290 million to 1. There are 45 states and 2 territories of people that have been buying tickets for 28 weeks. And finally, there's a grand prize winner somewhere. Oh my God. I have my little envelope there. And here's the numbers. 16, 21, 30, 35, 65 with a Mega Million Ball 7. Wow. Anyhow, 241 million would be your entry on your tax return. You will actually get, someone will actually get a credit. I would call TD Bank in advance and say, folks, you're going to get an ACH credit of 183 million. That is not a typo. It's going to come from the Florida Lottery, the Florida Mega Millions lottery people. You probably see one of us on TV if you take a lump sum. Now, my suggestion is, because they're going to come after you, the IRS is going to come after you, the IRS, right? The Internal Revenue Service is going to look for another 13% of that 241 million. Because you'll probably be in the maximum tax bracket. So my guess is when you do your TurboTax, yeah, you see the difference between 151 million and 183 million. That's the 13%. Because you got 183, you're gonna have to give up. Yeah. So this 151, that is the net after all federal tax. So the difference between these two numbers, 150 and 180, that's about 30 million. And it looks like about 32 million. So put 33 million in the side pocket, because this is going to be your credit to your account. So put 33 million in a separate savings account, because you're going to have to, some major portion of that 33 million, you're going to have to send to Uncle Sam on April 15th of 2027, right? Because your 26th tax return would be completed in April 15th of 2027. Yeah. So, in a sense, you got your grimy hands on that 183 million. So here, just watch this math. So we're going to clear this. We're going to put 32. Oh yeah, I said 33. So 33 million. A lot of zeros here, folks. 33 million. We're going to put that in an account that can earn. I got an invitation the other day from Truist Bank. Hey, you want 4% interest? All right, we're going to multiply that times 0.04. Oh, Look at that. That's that's 1,320,000 in interest. So while you're having that 33 million in the side pocket, it's going to earn 1,300,000 in interest. Yeah. So that's nothing to sneeze at, which I just did. Yeah, that's worth sneezing at, huh? Phew. So poor baby. When you're done with all that, you'll have 151 million left over. Can you imagine? Let's just play games with that. 151. Let's just say we put all of that in the 4% interest times 0.04. Can you imagine? You just leave that money in the side pocket and you earn 6 million in interest every year. Now that's taxable income, by the way. But, taxes are not 100%. In your case, it'll be 37%. Now, if you decided to take the annuity, which means you get 30 payments, and the first payment is 8,022,000. Yep. And the payments increase 5% every subsequent year. There'll be 29 subsequent payments because you got this payment first day. So instead of getting 183 million first day, that's after the withholdings, you get 8,022,000 less withholding. So Uncle Sam's probably going to keep 2 million of that. And you only get 6 million. This is, see the column heading on the top there? It says the annual annuity. This is pre-tax. And it's a 24% withholding. We know that because of what I just told you took the lump sum. So, 24% is real close to 25%, which is about a quarter of 8 million. So that means 2 million is, the withholding. So you get 6 round numbers. The lottery people, very nice. They'll tell you all that. Oh yeah, you'll be up there listening, and then you can't go up tomorrow and get your money because since this was just announced and last night all 45 states would have collected the lottery payments, when you buy a ticket which costs $5. Everybody who buys one of these lottery, the Mega Millions thingies, you pay $5 a ticket. Yeah. The lottery retailer earns 5%. So he makes a big 25 cents every time he sells somebody a ticket. So if someone buys $100 worth of tickets, guy makes $5. That's a pretty, tickets pop out of there pretty quick. They put them 10 on a ticket. Unless you want 10 tickets, that's $50. Another 10 tickets, another $50. So $100 would be 20 tickets. Or you can put them all on 2 tickets. Each ticket can hold 10 drawings, Anyway. So you either end up with 183 million in your checkbook or 6 million. It just depends on, but, remember you started off with 240. You end up taking home 83, but you got to give up another 32 million. It brings you down to 151 million. That is your after all federal taxes. That is the after tax, after April 16th, 15th, April 15th of 2027, you have to give up another 32 million. I don't know, I guess you just hang on to that money until April 15th, and then you got to write it. You do a big wire transfer. You get that money up to them. The penalties have to be, they could be big numbers when you're talking about a $30 million tax due, right? I think it's like anybody else. You file your taxes, no later than. You can do it earlier. I'd do it right away. Get rid of that 30 million right away. I mean, you'd make $1,350,000 in interest between because between now and April of next year, you got at least a whole year. So we did the calculation. That was $1,350,000 in interest. Now, if you live in a New York State or New Jersey or these blue states that have big state income taxes, you'd have to give up another 13%, another 30 million. Yeah, that would go because on your state income tax return, you'd have to put 241 million, and they would want 13% of that. So that's another 30 million off the top. So that would get you down to, so you'd still have 120 left over. That's still not chump change. But if you live in Florida, Texas, I think, and Tennessee, they don't have state income tax. No, I don't know if they tax lottery. That's. Oh yeah, I got dog in a box down here. Yeah, very good. He was jumping on my feet, trying to get back in my lap. But let him be in the box. Yeah. Oh, I've been sleeping on the couch, and the dog's been sleeping next to me on the couch for our initial period together. So that way, at least one of us is sleeping all night, like Marilyn, and I got dog duty. Yeah, dog, not duty, like dog responsibilities. Yep, someone won the Mega Million. So anyway, the rules are that you can get your money 15 days from the draw date. So the draw date is March 10th. So that means on March 25th, you could knock on their door and say, okay, pay. So in that 2-week period, because that's why it's 15 days plus the after the draw date, because they don't even know that there's a winner until, in theory, on the draw date is on the 10th. So 15 days plus the 10 is the 25th, whatever day that falls on. Because over the 2-week period, they're doing all their accounting and getting all the money transferred from each Mega Million state organization. There's no headquarters for Mega Million USA. Whichever state the winning ticket was purchased in is the state that collects all the other Mega Million monies from all over the other 44 states and 2 territories, DC and I guess Puerto Rico. So there's 45 states plus territories. 223,000. That is the number of official lottery retail locations between those 45 states and 2 territories. So 5 states don't do it, and but you got 2 territories. But I was actually quite surprised, and I did that little piece of research. I went into Google or someplace, and I got the search. And they told me that. There you go. That's my. Is this it? No, this is moon information. Earth. There we had. Yeah, we had really special lunar stuff. All right, I'm looking for lottery stuff, which is right around this time period when I did my research on the lottery and found out this is something about airlines. No. No, that's a launch date. Oh gosh, where is it? Thank you for. I'm trying to look at all these things real fast because I don't want to spend a lot of your time while I'm digging up this lottery stuff. Well, here's the pay. Robin used pet pay to pay for the dog. Yeah, ooh. I didn't give that dog away. No. I'm looking for the $223,000 magic. I did a print screen of the AI search I did through the internet. I'm looking for it as we speak. And an AI search. Oh, could this be it? No. Rats. It's not a big article, but I did a print screen of it. And I was shocked to learn about the two, because if you have a test question that's like from out of left field, how many Mega Millions? Here it is. There you go. See there? 223,000 official lottery retail locations across the U.S. and 40, there we go, 45 participating states, as well as the District of Columbia. Oh, the District of Columbia and the Virgin Islands. Sorry, not Puerto Rico. I misspoke several times, actually. Yeah, the District of Columbia and the Virgin Islands. Yeah, that's interesting. The vast network. So the common outlets would be convenience stores, gas stations, supermarkets make up a majority of the terminals. We have a little tiny grocery store that, it's almost like a convenience store, 7-Eleven, but it's Turkish. It's called Sultan's. They sell all kinds of tea, and they have all kinds of Turkish. The lady was telling me there was another lady buying Turkish big sausage, in the shape of a horseshoe and a vacuum pack. She said that it's much better than Italian sausage or kielbasa. Yeah, it looks like a kielbasa, but it's Turkish sausage. She said, "Oh, it's marvelous." Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, not physical terminals, residents in specific states, such as New York, Texas, and Ohio, can purchase the tickets through official digital lottery couriers. That's curious. So, a digital lottery courier. So that's probably a digital service. You can buy your lottery online. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be afraid of what if it wasn't a legitimate place and you thought you won and you didn't. You got the winning numbers and say, I'm sorry, this is a fraudulent internet thing. Someone intercepted uh, what ticket you might have had, and your ticket is fraudulent. Sorry, we can't pay. Yeah, not yes. It's bad enough it's a 290 million to one shot you will not win, and yet you got a winning number for some reason, and they stole it. So on February 16th is when I did this little search on the internet and stuff. 45 states, Virgin Islands, and DC. Anyway, so there's 47, major um, there's 47 states, 47, 45 states and 2 territories or geolocations. Yeah, where they got all the money has to be collected, audited. Hey, you guys sold 10,000 tickets, so you owe me, $50,000, and then we'll give you your 5%. Anyway, so then they collect all these lottery, every twice a week. They have to make deposits. Each state Mega Million lottery, sells tickets, through the Mega Millions, brand, if you will. And then twice a week, that money gets deposited, the lottery locations that are in a particular state, they all deposit their money in the main account. There'd be 47 of them, right? Because there are 47 different states or possessions, right? Or territorial areas. So they make so those contributions go up to the official, like in Florida, it'd be Tallahassee. So every official lottery retailer in the state of Florida, which, is a piece of that 223,000. I don't know how many locations there are in the actual state of Florida. I guess we could ask that question. Hey Siri, how many official lottery location retailers are in the state of Florida?
Here's an answer from Comparakeet.com.
13,000. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Isn't that nice? You can just talk to your computer and get 13,000 of the 223,000 locations are in the state of Florida. So my little Sultan's place downstairs, he has an official lottery machine, So you go in there with your $5 and you buy your ticket. And I was just chatting with him, you know. I said, "So how does this lottery thing work? What, you know? So you sell these tickets, and then you got to send the $5 up, you know, with all the other tickets, you know, proceeds. You keep that in a separate, you know, drawer, so to speak, and then you send that up to." He said, "Yeah, we make deposits twice a week. We have an account with the official lottery, you know, and yeah, they audit and they keep track and so forth. And you know, if you have a $500 winning ticket, for example, you can go to that retailer and say, "Here's my winning ticket," and they have to pay you $500. Now, you know, if it's a big, uh, you know, if it's like a public store where you have, you know, lots of lottery sales, you know, if Publix has like 20,000 people that walk in, you know, and they come in and go and out of their grocery store a week. You know, could be 25,000 people every week are coming and going into just the public store. And some percentage of them buy Mega Millions tickets or Powerball or whatever they, you know, whatever their interest is. Anyway, so they hit, you know, they like the little guy and the big guy, they got to send the money up twice a week up to headquarters in the state. In our case, Florida case, is in Tallahassee. So now every state has to collect, you know, has been collecting Mega Millions money for 20, how many, let's go back here, 20, there's been 27 rollovers. So this is the 28th rolling of the dice, so to speak. It wasn't rolling of the dice, it was these ping pong balls flying around, right? So, you know, that all that money has been collected at each statutory location and the two other jurisdictional areas, Virgin Islands and D.C., Washington D.C. Now it's pay time. So now they have to send because each, you know, you don't know where the winner is. So it's in one of the 47 jurisdictions. So if the winning ticket was in Florida, you know, you had these other 46, you know, 44 states, they would have to send their share of how many, whatever number of tickets, you know, they sold over the, you know, because they've been collecting all this money, for 20, you know, for 14 weeks. Now they got to send 14 weeks worth of ticket sales into Tallahassee because Tallahassee has to pay out. You know, in theory, they gotta pay out this 241 million. So they're going to be collecting 241 million from their own state. You know, lottery sales. You know, they're 13 right in Florida. 13,000 of them. So there are 13,000 a lot of retailers that have been sending money up, right? And all these other states, they got to send their money to Tallahassee because 15 days from the draw date, you know, Jimmy's going to show up in Tallahassee and say, "Hey, yeah, you got your money ready? You ready to make my deposit? Because the deposit's going to be 183 million to TD Bank, right? That's after the 24% withholding. See that jackpot after 24% withholding? The column caption says 183 million. Yeah. So they got to, yeah, they got to have 183 million dollars worth of money they've collected. It's more than that because they, you know, these lottery retailers make 5%, right? And the state of Florida, they take a little piece of these lottery sales, to manage, all the accounting and stuff they got to do, and the people, oops, they have, I don't know where they actually do where the machines are with the balls that bounce around. There's a central location somewhere for that. Because each state doesn't have their own winning, just there's one place where those balls are bouncing around. And we'll ask. So now I got a little bounce. Anyway, so that's why they need 2 weeks following the draw date, or 15 days from the draw date, because they have to get deposits from all, so each state has an account between each other state. Some kind of organization on how they handle their the cash, and those 223,000 retailers send their money up to their respective state. Stop. And because Jimmy's going to show up and he's going to want his 183 million. Yeah. Actually, 241 million, a little more than that, has to get sent in, for the jackpot lump sum. Because that's the net present value of those future cash flows. That's what the lump sum stands for. Yeah. That's the value. That's the value of those future cash flows if you're going to get paid in a lump sum. That's 241 million, which is roughly 45. See that little 45 in there? It's a little over 45% of that number right there. Yeah. Now my spreadsheet actually calculates it, but we're not going to. I am not official anything. I'm just a math guy that, because the magic number when you calculate all this crap is, see that 8,022,000? There's a huge formula in the spreadsheet to calculate, because the question is, what would the first payment be, followed by 29 annual payments that grow at 5%? It's a 5% increasing annuity. But the starting number is where you start. And then the second payment is 8.5 million. This it'd be 5% greater than 8 million. So, the payments keep growing every year. The last payment would be like 20 or 30 million. 30 million. Starts off at 8 million and grows up to 30 million. And, spread out, it grows 5%. So the question that has to be asked is, with the 5% growing annuity, what would the first payment be, such that it grows 5% each year, where the total payments add up to 533 million? And the answer to that question is $8,022,415. Yeah. Yeah, we figured out how to do that. Now I'll go here, I'll show you. Be a little live demonstration at 2:36 a.m. I should be sleeping, but I'm not. Here's my actual, this is my actual spreadsheet. Look at it. This is all, every one. I made a project of this of myself. These are all the actual lottery drawings starting on December 3rd, on Friday, because the Tuesday before that, that was a bit, like $1.5 billion winner. It's big. It was like the it was the second largest lottery winning in the history of lotteries. Was paid out by Mega Millions on December. That's a nice Christmas present, huh? December of 2025. It was the Tuesday before the Friday, December 3rd. Yeah. So it was like end of November, right? Anyway, so it starts off at 50 million, and then it climbs up 10 million a year. But it starts off at 50 and then gets up to here, and then I don't, up to 100 million. And then I don't know how they calculate what the grand prize would be. I don't know how they determine that. It's a formula based on the actual lottery sales, which I don't have access to that. So this is just what the lottery tells me, based on their that official website that I just went to, right? I showed you that. And it said the jackpot would be 533 million. Yeah, they came up with that number based on actual lottery, and that's an estimate because they don't know exactly what the lottery sales were for the week. They know how much was paid in and bought through March 6th. But, from the 7, 8, 9, 10, the last 4 days, they don't know exactly how many lottery receipts they got. They know what they should get based on historical, and they got a lot of data on that. So when they say the estimated jackpot is printed on your ticket, 533 million, that's an estimate, but boy, that's an estimate based on a lot of history, and they have all the data. You've heard of that, the data, the statistics. They have data, and they go through all that data, and they can pretty much accurately determine that 533 million is going to be the amount of the grand prize. If it's over that, you'll get paid more. And there's a calculation on that, which I'm not privy to that. I'm not privy to any of the lottery sales. None of this information that I have on this huge spreadsheet, and I'm going to take you right through the annual payments. This is not official anything. See that 533 and that 496? Oops, you can't see that. Come on, Jimmy. Oh, we have to. There we go. We got to shrink that up a bit. I got to pull this over. John Dober, there we go, right there. And can we see everything? There we go. Yeah. So this right there is the, yeah. So now, see, I want to be able to see what you see. And because you got this half a screen, I've got a big screen, which is too many pixels to fit in there. So anyway, there's a little pixel conversion stuff going on. Anyway, so there we go. We'll just bring that over. So this is my official lottery thing here. So I'm see 533. I put 50 down below for the next one. So on March 13th, see the lottery resets to 50 million. That's right out of the official lottery website, which I can bring up right here. And I'll go to the official website of the lottery on my iPhone over here in the side pocket. Yeah. See it reset for 50 million. So that the doggy sleeping on my feet. So that 50 million, that tells me that someone won the jackpot. It could be more than one person, but at least one. So that means the lottery starts over, Mega Millions. If someone wins the jackpot, the lottery the next week, the next drawing, which is March 13th, someone can win 50 million instead of this big jackpot. So over 28 weeks, 28 weeks, yeah, it grew from 50 million to 500 million. And with a lump sum of 241 million. Holy mackerel. So we'll hear, tomorrow, midday, the news agencies will have all kinds of, they'll have the Florida, I don't know where the winning ticket is, because it may not be Florida. There's 45 states, could be any one of those, or Washington, D.C., or Virgin Islands. Wherever the winning ticket was sold, that's where all the money from all the lottery collections for the Mega Million then gets sent to the main office of the state that sold the winning ticket. And the winning ticket holder, no matter where they came from, I mean, they could have traveled in the state of Florida, for example, and gone back to Germany or something. They got to fly their butts over here to pick up their whatever they're going to pick up. They either get the first annuity payment of 8 million, and Uncle Sam's going to take 24% of that, so they get 6 million, and the federal government gets 2 million of that. Yeah. Because if you won that money in the state of Florida, I don't know what happens if you have someone like from Europe comes over here and buys a lottery ticket. How they file their tax return, and if there's any withholding. Maybe if it's out of country, there isn't a withholding tax. There may be some other way they have to pay the federal tax on that. Anyway, it's beyond my knowledge. All right, anyway, so 241 million. Now let's assume someone takes the annuity. So the question when you ask an annuity, the winner of an annuity, or the lottery official, they're going to say, what is that first payment? Because that guy is going to come in here in 2 weeks, 15 days from the draw date. That's the official language, by the way. You can pick your money no sooner than 15 days from the draw date. They got to collect all the money, and they have to get ready to, pay the annuity provider. That gets bid out to all the biggest banks in the world. They send out RFPs to whoever banks are interested in getting an RFP on an annuity like this. And they're going to get some portion of that 241 million, so they can, come up with this 8,022 annual. And you see the next year, see the second payment. I'll just go right up here, so you only see one bunch of numbers. So the first payment is 8,022. The second one is 8,423. The third one is 8,008. The fourth one is 9 million. So that's growing at 5%. So the main question is, what is that first payment that's paid first day with a 533 million? Well, I'm going to touch, in a spreadsheet. So this is going to be a calculation. And I just touched. Now we want to see what's in that cell. Well, let's touch this right here. There it is. Look, you see that equation? The question is, with a $533 million grand prize, And with a 5% annual growing annuity, what would be the first payment such that all the subsequent payments are 5% bigger than the previous one? See, going 9,000,007, keep on going. There's 29 future payments, and there's one payment day one, right? For a total of 30 payments. And if we add them all up, that's got to add up. See all the different 24,000,006, in year 23, which would be the 24th payment. That annual payment is 24 million. When you get to the 23rd year worth of this, and we're going to go up to the 29th payment, or actually the 30th payment, because the first payment was payment on day one. So you add all that up, and if you paid it according to what I have here, which I am not official anything, I would have paid $11 too much. So what I did is I added up that entire row of the 30 payments, and I missed it by $11. Yeah. But I'm not official anything, right? I'm just some guy talking on a podcast at 2:48 a.m. pre-dawn on Wednesday. Yeah. Phew. Yeah, 5:33. Yeah. I missed it by $11 because there's a rounding error. You can't pay 0.49 cents. So if you have because it's rounding, obviously, to the nearest whole cents, because it's dollars and cents, right? Well, if you go another decimal point, that's to be tenths of a penny. Well, in the United States, in the United States currency, there's no, we don't have a way of paying tenths of pennies. So you round up for 0.50 and more to the nearest whole penny, and then you round down if it's 0.49 penny or less. So when you do all that rounding up and down over 30 payments, I missed it by $11. That ain't bad. So if I were the official lottery thing, which I'm not, I would take away $11 from that last payment. So instead of getting $33,021 and $348, you get $337 because I would have overpaid $11 for the. Anyway, so that's how you balance that out, yeah. If you were. Now, I don't know what kind of calculations or computers they're using or anything like that. All I know is I know how to calculate a 5% growing annuity if I know the lottery amount and the number of payments. And it's a 30 payment annuity in which the grand prize winner gets payment one, day one. The calculations would be different, if they had to wait a year. But, what kind of lottery is that where you have to wait a year for your first payment? So it's, these 5% growing annuities, they start day one. And the magic is you got to get that first payment. You have to calculate that first payment. And you see that equation? You go to C31. Well, see right here, that's, if you know anything about spreadsheets, you look over here, it's the 31st row and column C. Because column B is Tuesday Mega Million, and column A is where it goes 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So that's how you get ABC. That's why it's not like column A. Why is it not column A 28, for example? Well, it's the 28th drawing, but it's actually on C30. It's on the 31st row because I have 3 rows of column captions. Like the first payment, and, annual annuity, and then I got this big, broad thing with Mega Millions. So I'm wasting or using 3 rows for the column captions. So that's why you end up with C31 instead of it being A 28. Yeah. So we got 3 rows, and we got 3 columns before we actually have the jackpot number. Anyway, so it's C31 divided by, and all that stuff is in the denominator. Bracket, bracket, bracket. 1 point plus 0.05, that's the 5% growing. You take that to the 30th power, then you take 1 away from it, and you divide that by 0.05, and you round it to the nearest whole dollar, and that's how you got 8,022,000. Yep, that's how that happens. Whoops, and I just touched something which I have to, oops, oh. So I got to delete that, or I'm going to louse up my spreadsheet. There we go. So I'll go ahead and check that. Yeah, I'm done. There we go. No changes. Anyway, so this is that's each annual payment, and see that grows 5%. That 22,350,000 is 5% bigger than that 21,285,000. Between the 21st payment and the 22nd payment. Yeah, 5% growing each time. If I touched one of that, it would have the prior cell plus 1.05. Yeah, so we're gonna get out of this spreadsheet before I louse it up. Because touch screen, you really got to be careful of what you're doing, because when you touch stuff, it changes numbers. Anyway, so that is, let's see, is this, now this is not a spreadsheet. This is, I did a print screen of the spreadsheet. See, so this, I can wiggle around. I can't change any of the numbers. There's no values here. This is strictly pixels. Yeah, I filled up the whole page here, and it covers from rollover on the 14th, drawing up to the 28th. So this is half of all the lotteries that were pulled, and you can see all the numbers. I found a way of, getting numbers inside the circles, to give the, which is the way the lottery people do it when they show the results. Instead of just typing 16 space 21 space. Excuse me, the first couple of weeks, that's what I did. I figured, well, there's got to be a way I can do. And it is. The spreadsheet allows me to put a picture in there. So this is actually, if I went back to the, to that, the actual spreadsheet that's in numbers, it's actually a square, a rectangular photograph, a print screen of this with the balls right off the lottery. I'll show you the official lottery site. It's no big deal. But you see here, 16, 21. So if I click the little 3 bars up there and pull winning numbers, and then touch Mega Millions, you see this right here? I do a print screen, and I come over here and go right up to here, and I pull this one down here, and pull this over. Too much? You're seeing this, yeah. Pull this over. There you go. And that's what I would. That's how I get that. This here. Yeah, that's how I get that. And then I just to copy and paste of this image, and the spreadsheet permits me to put a little picture in that row, in that column location. And that's how I get the little balls with the numbers. I got it right off. I do a print screen right off of this right here. Hey, you got to be a little crafty in this business. Yeah. That way I can show you exactly the kind of stuff I'm showing you. Anyway, so this is actually a print screen, like of my spreadsheet. That's a print screen of my spreadsheet. So is this one. That's like, 14 weeks worth. And this is, 4 weeks worth or 5 weeks. I don't have rollover on there because someone won. Someone won that last night. Who knows? It could be in my magic envelope. I doubt it. There's 290 million reasons why it's not the winner. You remember? The winning odds is 290 million to 1. Yeah, well, I heard my dog and my cat had a little altercation. The dog is back in his box taking a nap. Oh, he doesn't seem to be bleeding. It's dark out there, so the cat and the dog probably, tried to swipe the cat's tail. The cats, they want to play sometimes. And I heard a little yelp out of the dog. So they get after each other and they balance out the power. Cat doesn't want any problem. It just stays up on the dining room table where the dog can't get up. Or the dog is too small to jump up on the couch, actually. In a couple of months, the dog will grow, assuming the positive, that the dog survives 2 months here in crazy land up here on the 8th floor above Chops, feeding it this crazy dry food, and it went next to a cup of chicken broth. Yeah, open up Swanson's chicken broth. There's a water bowl somewhere also. There's 2 or 3 places where the dogs or cats can get water. But in the kitchen I have, it's 3 a.m. I don't know if you heard that on the computer. My computer tells me what time it is every 15 minutes. It's 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time here in sunny South Florida. I got 3:00 on that. I got 3:00 on that. And I've been talking for an hour and 58 minutes. Yeah, because I got on here a little after 1 a.m. because I had some internet issues I had to clear up. I had to restart my modem and everything. I had such terrible, every connection into the, these huge networks of, like cable TV or cable, internet bandwidth. So when you connect in, when your residents, just say that, when you plug your modem into the cable, you get like a branch on the tree, this big, huge tree. And in the bottom of the tree, the internet signal comes up and it gets spread to all the branches. So, and then when someone else connects, they get a piece of your branch. And someone else connects, they get a piece of that branch. And you get all the branch of the branch of the branch. Sometimes you have to unplug the modem, which is functionally done by just turning it off. Unplug. I literally unplugged the power from the modem rather than having to screw with, the internet cable. The cable is a pain in the neck. Someone invented that, 150 years ago. And it's a very annoying connection. So you got to unscrew this thing, and it's a very fine threading on that, and it's intended to be waterproof, which it is, or it should be, unless you don't tighten it all the way. But there's another way of disconnecting from the branch. It's just unplug the modem from the power source. So that's what I do. I just go over to up to the modem and just unplug it, count to 10, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, and then plug it back in. And then you gotta wait, like 5 or 6 minutes for the modem to automatically log on, and it checks your credentials to make sure that's a valid login. Then it goes to your account to make sure you've been paying your bills. Because if you don't pay your cable bill, guess what? They turn you off. So you may have a login that's valid, but you may have an account that's past due. So if it gets drastically past due, they may not give you the internet connection you were hoping to get. And I've got like the fastest speed that you can get for a residence, and it's 2,000 megabits per second. And if you were in on this show about 15 minutes ago, I showed you it's about 400. So I'm getting like 20% of the amount I'm supposed to get. If I have nothing to do sometime, I call Xfinity and try to get technical support, a human being, and complain. Say, hey, I'm paying for 2,000, I'm getting 400. Every day, 400, 300, 500, 400, 600, 500, 400. I'm supposed to getting 2,000. Well, I said, bullshit, how much for 500 megabits per second instead of 2,000? What's the difference in the premium I'd pay each month? That's what I should be paying because I'm only getting, on average, about 500 megabits down. I'm paying for 2,000 down. You are not delivering. I should have you should credit back for the last several years because I'm only getting on average 500. You can measure it just as well as I can. This Oakley internet's, speed doodad is recognized around the world as one of the most accurate. And I see it every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. Because I have some applications I need fast download speed, and you're not providing it. That's why I'm paying for the 2,000. You never have delivered it. No, not never. That's not sometimes, always. Yeah, sometimes, always, or never. Yeah. Well, in your case, it's never. Yeah, yeah. You shouldn't be charging for what you're not delivering. How much, if I were to be a new customer, 500 megabits per second download, what is the cost of that service? Look what I'm paying. You're probably quadruple charging me. Anyway. It took me a half hour to get connected. So that's why I'm not on at midnight or, because I had speed issues. So I had to unplug the modem and plug it back in, circling back to that. And, by the time your computer and your iPads and all that stuff get resynced with this reconnection of the internet, it took about, 10 or 15 minutes. And, I have enough signal to do what I'm doing, but just barely. There you go. There's the winning numbers. I just copied it right into that spot right there. But that's how I do a print screen of that, and then I crop it to that, and then I throw it right into the spreadsheet, right into there. This is actually a picture file. It's not actually numbers. Now that 533 is numbers because I need that to be digitally numbers because I have to calculate this first payment. And in order to get that whole string of payments, and they all add up to 533 million, but I was $11 off. I showed you that. So I did a little check. That very rightmost column, the last column, checks all 30 payments to see if it adds up to exactly 533 million, and it doesn't. It was $11 over. And that's the rounding error because we don't have a way of paying you a half a penny. Half a penny you round up. 0.49 cents, you round down to the nearest penny. You just round down, just. But if that tenth of a penny column is 0.5 or more, you round up to the nearest whole penny. Well, if you do that all for each one of these 30 calculations, knowing that the first, that's where that first real big calculation is. What is that first payment? So that when you make the subsequent payments that are 5% bigger than the previous payment, and you add them all up, they all have to add up to 533 million. Yeah, that's what the lottery is. That's what the lottery contract says. When you choose the annuity, that's how the annuity works. It's a 5% growing annuity. The first annual payment. I don't do print screens of all of that because not many people take the annuity. I've explained a lot more than most of you want to hear about. Yeah. So I show you the first payment anyway. You got so if the winner of this lottery, which there was a winner, last night, or a few hours ago, actually 4 hours ago. Many people may not even know that yet because they were asleep at 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Not Jimmy. No. So you want to know what the annuity, the first payment is $8,022,000. Now you actually don't get that because you remember Uncle Sam was going to take 24% withholding. Yes, you only get about $6 million. I haven't calculated it after tax. Now I did with the lump sum because that's what most people do. They take the lump sum. They don't want to wait 30 payments. If you're a nice young couple, what's wrong with an $8 million a year income? And then the next year it's 5% bigger than that. And I showed you the last payment's like over 30 million. That's the magic of compound interest. When you get 5% of the previous number, and then the next one is 5% of the 5% more, and so on. So that $8 million payment grows by 400%. But it's only doing it 5% growing each year. But that last payment is actually, over 30 million. Yeah. and it all adds up to 533. Lump sum, you're going to end up after federal tax, you're going to end up with 151 million. First, when you leave lottery headquarters, they're going to credit your account for 183 million, 320, because that's the lump sum less the 24% withholding, because they got to send that money up to, into the IRS in Washington D.C. Oh yeah, and that's a lot of money. You're talking about 40, 60, 50, $58 million. You're going to take home 183 million, but the IRS is taking 50 million of that, a little more actually. So they're going to get 50 million, and you get 183 million. Yeah, but I'm telling you, you're going to have to pay that extra 13% if you're a Florida resident or Tennessee or Texas, because your maximum tax will be 37%. Well, if the tax is 37%, then what do you get? You get 63%, right? 63 plus 37 is 100. So this 151 is 63% of that number right there. That's how we get that 151 million. Yeah, it's easy to calculate this jackpot stuff. That 8,022,022, that took a lot. It took me a couple of weeks to figure out how to calculate that. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting calculation. I just showed you what it is with the syntax of a spreadsheet. Someday I have it here. I'll show you the what the formula looks like, handwritten out, typed, but it's very tricky on how you convert that into the programming language of a spreadsheet. With all the syntax, you have to do it a certain way. Yeah. I haven't had it verified by anybody that counts, but I know how to count. There you go. Lump sum, baby. Even after all your 37%, and if you live in Florida, Texas, or Tennessee, they're going to credit your account with 183 million, and then you gotta save that 30 something million in the side pocket, and then you net out of all federal tax 151 million. Wow. There are not many people on the planet that have a checkbook with 151 million in cash in it. I mean, there are a lot of billionaires and millionaires, but how many people have 150 million in cash in a checking account? Like, quite frankly, if I won that money, I would give, let's see, 80. I would probably give I have 4 kids, right? I would probably give each kid, let's say 15 million each. 4 times 15 is 60. So 60 of the 150 million, I'm going to give out to the kids right away. I'm going to give them out 15 million apiece. Maybe 20 million. Let's say 20. 20, 40, 60, 80. So that's 80 million of the 151 million. I'm just going to write 4 nice big checks. Actually, do transfers. Yeah, that's how you do the wire transfer. Yeah. Or write them a check. It's better to do the transfer because that's a big check. You don't want to lose that in the mail. They'd probably fly in and get it. Yeah, we'd have a ceremony and I'd just write They just hand write out checks, 20 million apiece. Yeah, have them all typed out. We'd have by then we'd have people, and I'd have my people type out the checks. Actually, we go to TD Bank and have them make up cashier's checks. Yeah. So when they go to their local bank, then to make a big deposit of 20 million. Ooh, that's a life-changing amount of money for their selves and their kids, and assuming they don't screw and waste it. There are a lot of lottery people winners that end up bust 5 or 6 years after. Because anyway, so if I gave 20 million to each kid, that's 20, 40, 60, 80. That's 80 million out the door, so to speak. And so I still have 71 million left over after I give away 80 million. Can you imagine? 8 and 7 is 15. Yeah. So now I got 70 million left over. So you know what? We give money to the Danny Thomas Hospital, and we give money to Tunnels for Towers. Because they take care of all our military people that die in the family. How do they survive after their husband gets or wife gets blown up in one of these things that's going on in Iran or wherever, or our first responders? So we'd probably take 5 million and put it in a savings account and you take the interest out of that 5 million and fund that every month to those two charities. Instead of giving them a cash, one check and that's it, we'd put some, this is just what I think. Just, put 5 million, let's say, in a 4%, savings account. So that's 200,000 a year in interest income. Divide that by, so that's 100,000 a year, divide that by 12, that's $8,333 automatic credit to Tunnels for Towers or to the Danny Thomas Hospital, both. Just do those two together. You can't give every charity, so that's who we fund right now out of our little tiny amount. But it's not eight. We don't give them 8,000 a month. But if we won this, we would. All right, so that's we have 80. So that's 85 million, and then we have 10 relatives. Like brothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, and their children. So I think I added up there's 10 of those. So you give each of them, let's say 2 million. So that's 20 million. And so that's 105 million we've given away, and we've taken care of all our relatives. We've taken care of 2 important charities, and we've given out 105 million. So now we got 46 million or 45. 46,893,000. So we gave out 100 million, 105 million, and still have 45 million left over. 45 million, not exactly chump change. That's after tax money too. So I told Marilyn, we'll go buy a $7 million condo inside the Boca Hotel property. It's gated, with guards all over the place. So we can walk to dinner and go to rotate around some restaurants for a couple of months while the dust settles from winning such a thing before we peer out into the world and get surrounded by news media or whatever. You can control that if you want to. Me with a one time up in Tallahassee, and maybe one time locally for the local channels. You know, they all want to know, what are you going to do with all that money? I tell them just what I told you right now. That's what I do. 105 million out the door right away. I got 46 million. I'm going to put 25 million. There we go. Let's clear this. 25 million. Pop, 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 pop. In a special account. Times 0.0. That's yielding 5%. You can go to any money manager in the planet. They'll pay you 5% on 25 million. That's $1,250,000. You live off that. Okay, don't spend more than $1,250,000 a year. You just live off that interest. You got that 25 million in the side pocket. Now, if for some reason or you need to get into that cash, you can always do it. 25 million. So now you got 20 million left over. Well, remember, we're going to buy maybe 1 or 2 condos for, let's say 15 million. And then the rest is just, let's just leftover cash. You you got a million. What was that? 1,200,000 what? 1,250,000 in interest income off that 25 million. Yeah, of the 45 million. So you have 20 million. You're going to spend 10 million on, and then you have 10 million left over. You just leave that in the checkbook. So you got a couple of condos, one up north, one down south here. Maybe you just got one. But, we don't need another place. Just stay in. When you go travel somewhere, stay in the best hotel. Forget about having another house. You want to stay up north for a month? Just take the hotel room for a month. Get a nice big suite and book it for a month. Anyway, that's just my thought. Have one nice place where you live here. So you buy $5, $8, $10 million condo here, and then you got 10 million left over. You don't have any bills at all. I mean, you have American Express account card or whatever card you like, and you keep charging that up, and every month you automatically pay to American Express, for all your lunches and dinners and breakfasts and airline tickets and cruise ship and whatever the hell you go. Yeah. Go buy some furniture. Yeah. I don't need anything. I have everything. Got a little dog in a box down here. I'll take a picture of the dog in the box. Every 20 minutes or so, he wakes up and tries to crawl up my leg to get in my lap. But I'm talking to you guys, so I can't do everything. All right, here's the camera button. What photo? And I'll shoot it right like that so you can see dog in a box. Took 2 of them. All right, so I'll show you. I should be able to show you a dog in a box. It'll come up under. Well, it'll come up under recently saved. Let's go back to my. Maybe I have to diddle with it. Let me diddle with it. And crop it a little bit. And There you go. Save it. Put the little heart there. Now it should show up. Yeah, this should show up definitely in my favorites category. Is this favorites? Yeah. So somewhere I should see this my little doggy in a box. And it's taken too long. So let me go to this photo album. Let me airdrop it to a 13-inch right there. I'm hearing it click and bounce here, but gosh. All right, how do I get it there? I'll send it to Jim space L. There I am, right there. Send it. Excuse me. So now I should be able to go to my this guy right here. There's Jim L. Download that picture. Hey, why am I having to force feed this thing? So now it should be in my photo album. It would be, yeah. There it is. I got 3 of them. There it is. Put a heart on it. There we go. Now it's in my favorites album. Now we go to collections. And which way am I going? Yeah, I go. There it is. Now you can see it. See, 3:30 a.m. My phone is really annoying. There's my doggy in a box right down there. Yeah, there it is. Next to my dirty floor. It's amazing what little couple of boxes down there. That dog is just all curled up. Yeah. All right, sports fans. I've been talking 2 hours and 29 minutes. It's 3:30 in the morning. I'm gonna go stretch out on the couch with my little dog next to me. Put a couple of these drops in my eyes. I've used up enough teardrops for a couple of days, right? Someone won Mega Millions. That's a $500 million. So that's, don't look at me and say, what's the matter with it? Don't you have a life? Of course I got a life. But that's a $500 million. That's the only one I follow is Mega Millions because it's twice a week. Powerball is like 3 times a week. That's too annoying. Twice a week is enough. If I had something that was once a week, I'd do that one. But Tuesday, Friday. I'm in the routine Tuesday, Friday. So I put a strip in. That's one line item. Twice a week. Now when you look at the spreadsheet, the when you look at one picture, it looks like, God, Jimmy, do something. Why but it takes 5 minutes, to do that. Now, if you're going to do the whole thing in one sitting, then you got, you know, that's different. Yeah. Look at that. I'm looking. I got that. Yeah, I don't need to do it here. I have it here. It's easier to look at. Lose track of where I am. Yeah, here we go. This, it takes, this would take hours and hours to put this together for today. I have to start working at this at 10 o'clock in the morning before I, to have 28 line items, with all the first row is the worst, because you got to do all the formulas all the way across and you just copy them down. But you'd have to put in all these little inserts. See, but when you do it just, every couple of days, it takes, I showed you, how to get the, that's right here. That's the strip right here. I just do a print screen and crop it and throw it in the spreadsheet, and the other number, the one right here, the 533, that's given to you by the official lottery people. I'm not calculating that. That's their number. That's their estimate. Now, I know how to calculate that estimate because I know from news broadcasts and so forth what prior lotteries, what the percentage is when they say the lump sum is, then I compare that to what the jackpot is, and it's about 45.2%. I have that out to several decimal places, so this is an estimate that I've made. I don't know how, it's probably a couple million off, I don't know how they estimate it. I just take it all their estimates from prior ones, and I haven't spent a lot of time on the accuracy of that. It's close enough. It's within 95% or 100. It's within 8% or 5% up or down, plus or minus 5%. Yeah, 241 million plus or minus 5 million. Yeah, what's 5 million among friends, right? So this I'm guessing that one. I'm estimating that one. I am not an official lottery anything. And of course, based on that, then you get the next two columns off that estimate. So, but I've been within, 2 or 3% of whatever the lottery people publish. Now the tax rate, we know what that is. We know the 24% withholding, and we know that under the present administration, the maximum tax rate is 37%. That you can look up anywhere. So that's how I get the next two columns. Now this one right here, that 8,022,000, that took a couple of weeks for me to figure out the formula. So in every one in this whole row is that formula. And it goes to this number right here. Because we know it's a 5% growing annuity. That's what the lottery officials publish. So that number is a calculation based off the actual jackpot estimate. So that would be, this number could be 8,025,000, or it could be 8,018,000. Yeah, it could be a couple of million off one way or the other. Not a couple million, a couple of thousand off. It could be million 028. It could be 8 million 018. It's 8 million something. I guarantee you that. Yeah. There's a lot of math on that one. The biggest thing that would change that number is if their estimate here wasn't quite right. But if their estimate is pretty much, and they're pretty good because they've been doing this for a while. When they say 533, they mean it. It could be could be plus or minus. And the formula is right. So this number is probably good to the nearest $100. I'm real confident about that 8,022 number. These next two rows, it's estimates of estimates. So that could be 10% off, but still, if it's 860 million or 840 million or this 150 million. So, it's plus or minus $5 million. It's close enough for talking on a podcast. I'm not an official lottery statistician, so no one cares what I think except for both of you out there in TV land. All right, it's 3:38. So I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do for the next 3 hours when everyone starts waking up. This may just be an all-nighter for me. I'll lay down on the couch. What the heck? Listen to some nice music. This is really quite nice. So I hope you guys have a nice day. It's Wednesday. I'm pre-dawn here. It is March 11. So I need to get this up. Because whenever I shut down, I always I always leave a full screen of this. And then I click the appropriate buttons to sign off on this magnificent podcast night, knowing that someone has won, in theory, 240 million lump sum. That's a quarter of $1 billion in cash someone has won 4 hours ago. Wow. A quarter of $1 billion in cash. You got to pay taxes. Yeah, all right. So you end up with 140 million. Yeah, I think that's what 108, gosh darn it, whatever that number was. It's right on the way. 151 million. Yeah. So after all taxes, federal taxes, if you live in the state of Florida, yeah. Wow. Big, 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 big numbers. There we go. You see my tag on the top there, FAU4U. That's my handle on, what do you call it? YouTube. You go into search, the little magnifying glass, put in FAU4U. And it will list all 500 of my podcasts over the last, 5 years, whenever I started doing this. I talk about whatever the hell comes to mind. It's like having, it's usually early in the morning. It can be early in the morning. It can be at 9 o'clock. I try to do it at 9 o'clock every morning. Today I did it, like I was trying to get in at 11. It took me till 1 to get on the internet. So I wanted to, have the special broadcast here on Tuesday because who knows? Someone may win, and someone did win. So he's watching. You can I give you a little precursor on what to expect when you call Lottery Central tomorrow morning. They're going to verify your ticket with all kinds of serial numbers and stuff, because you got numbers, all kinds of numbers on that lottery. They're going to ask you to go to your lottery retailer and process the ticket through the lottery terminal. So you probably need an armed guard, because that's a $500 million ticket. You don't want to get hit over the head and have that ticket taken from you. I mean, no one's going to know, but I would have a security guy with you when you go to the lottery retailer, because when you process that ticket, you want to walk out of that retail location with a couple of people protecting you. And then you want to take that ticket and I don't know. Of course, you would have already made a photocopy of, took a picture of it with your camera, or whatever, and put it in a safety deposit box in your bank. Hopefully, you have a safety deposit box. If you don't, open up one. Go to your local TD Bank. I'm just making that up. We happen to have a TD Bank that's real close by. And put this in the safety deposit box. You don't want that ticket to get lost or stolen. Put it in a Ziploc bag so it doesn't get water damaged. Put it in an envelope and put it in a safe place. Don't tell anybody about your winning, because then you're going to have people following you. There may be someone knock you over the head and rob your place. There are bad people that try to steal that sucker. Anyway, aside from that concern, you got to think about that. You got to think about all these things. And you can go back and listen to some of this show, and you get a little preview on what you can expect when you make that call to the lottery people at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And they're gonna tell you you got $240 million entry on your TurboTax. But you're only going to get $180 million credit. You have to wait a couple of weeks, though, because we got to collect that money from 45 states and 2 territories, the Virgin Islands and Washington, D.C. area. So they collect all that money into the Florida Mega Millions main office, if the ticket was bought in Florida. It's wherever the ticket was purchased. That becomes the headquarters for the payout. If it's Florida, then Tallahassee would be the place where you go pick up your money. But you got to wait 15 days after the draw date, or 14 days from today, which is the day after the draw date. So that'd be like the 26th, right? 14 plus 11, the 25th. So the 25th of the 26th, you can go to Tallahassee and expect the lump sum to be paid. They have to collect all that money and have it in an account where, within 2 days after you make that declaration, I think there's another 2 day, they, guarantee that they would make the credit entry to your bank account. And you bring a copy of an empty check so they can get the routing and transit number off of it, and your actual account number. If it's a TD Bank in Florida, the routing and transit number is 0670 14822. I happen to know that because I'm a banker. That is the routing and transit number for a TD Bank anywhere in the state of Florida. And then, of course, your 9 or 10 digit account number, which I will not announce your checking account number on the broadcast. I happen to know my checking account number in my memory. How many people know that? And the routing and transit number. But I have a copy of it right there. Yeah, bring a canceled check with you. And they'll read the numbers right on the bottom of the check. Your R&T number, followed by the account number, followed by the check number. I think that goes after the check. Yeah. Sometimes they put it between the R&T number and the account number. Anyway, they got little special codes in front of the number that tells the electronic system what kind of a number it is, whether it's an R&T number or a account number, checking account number. Anyway, you got all this electronic stuff. They want that information if you want a cash payout because whoosh, they do a credit entry and bam, that money is from their bank into your bank. And you're going to get 180 million. That's a lot of money for call TD Bank and say, hey, I got 151 million coming in. It's not a typo. Don't tell anybody. Keep it a secret. Yeah, that's where I put it. Because I got all my kids. No, 2 of my kids had TD Bank account numbers. Wham. I just do a little transfer. That would be quite a transfer. Give each one 20 million. That takes care of 40 million real quick. And then I got another kid in Maryland and another kid in Richmond, Virginia. I think I said we're going to give them 20 million each. That should keep them happy. Hopefully they don't waste it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time telling them how not to waste it. And then I got a couple of kids locally here, so I just do transfers within the same bank. TD Bank would happy, huh? Get a nice big deposit. Yeah. See if we can get on the, what do you call it? Fox News. Yeah. Get an invitation up to New York City. Stay in one of the finest hotels. Show up for, the 8 o'clock hour of Fox and Friends in the morning. Talk to those folks. Maybe show up to the 5. See if we can get on a couple of TV shows just for the hell of it. They're going to say, what are you going to do with all that money? And I'll tell them. I'll have it all worked out. Yeah. I might even write it down on a piece of paper. Say, okay, kiddies, watch out. You got 20 million coming your way. All 4 of you. It's going to be a big payday for you tomorrow. Get ready to figure out how to change your life. Or maybe, you know what, just keep it going the same way you've been doing. Why not? Why louse it up? Yeah. Do I have... No, come on, what are you doing? Yeah, I gotta have that up here. Because I gotta say bye-bye. It's now 2 hours and 49 minutes and 45 seconds. It's 3:51. I'm gonna hang it up. I'm just gonna stop talking. It's nice music. Nighty night. Have a good Wednesday.